Hello guys, welcome. In this video we are going to be talking about Python data types. So data types in Python are examples of data that we can use in Python. So for example, we have the string data type, the integer, the floating point, the Boolean data type. So we are going to be looking at the examples of these data types. So first of all, we are going to be looking at an example of the Python data type called the integer. So an integer is a number without a decimal point. It can either be negative or positive. So for example, I will say an integer should be equal to 23. And so this is a positive integer. And then I can now print the value of the integer x. And then when you run this code, you will see that it will print the integer out to the Python console. And so we are going to see how we can check what type of data is this. And so we can specify that by imputing type, and then we specify the variable. And so when you run this code, you will see that it will print and show us that this is an integer. As you can see that the class, it is shown as integer. So whether it's positive or negative integer, it will show you out in the Python console. So this is an example of a positive integer, and this is an example of a negative integer. And so integers in Python, they do not contain decimals, they do not contain a they contain only numbers without decimal. And so let's print the type of x and print the type of y so that you can see. And so to check if x and y are integer, what you're going to do is you hit on the play button, and you're going to see the class which they belong to, which is called integer. So x and y are integers in Python. And so next we are going to be looking at floating point or decimal numbers that can be used in Python. So a floating point number is a number that has decimals. So let's look at an example. So a floating point number can be, for example, 3.142. A floating number can be 22 divided by 7. And so you can print out the type. Let's print out the type to confirm. So we are going to print out the type of I and the type of J to determine which of the data type it belongs to. And so when you run the code, and so you can see that both I and J belong to the class of a floating point number, and you can add them up, you can subtract them up, you can divide, you can multiply, you can raise it to the power of 2 or 3 or to any decimal place which you want. And so let's run this code to see, and you can see that the value of I plus J is given as 6.28, and also you can raise it to the power of 2. So we do that by typing asterisk. So a double asterisk signifies that you are raising 3 to the power of 22 over 7. So this means that I should be raised to the power of 22 over 7, or you can say I exponential j. And then when you run this code, you will see that in line 6, I raised to the power of 22 over 7 gives us 36.529. And so this is an example of a floating point number in Python. Another example of data types in Python which we can use is called the string data type. And so an example of a string data type, for example, I will say this should be equal to examples of string. And so we are going to run this code and print out the type. So we are going to say print, and then we put in the type, and then we print out the string to see what type of data it falls to. And so when you hit on the run button, you're going to see that it falls to the string. As you can see here, it says the class of the data type is string. And also you can print out the value of this string. So we are going to do that by typing print and string. So when you run the code, you will see that the value of the string is printed as examples of string. So you can add up two or more strings. For example, I'll create another string and I can call it egg should be equal to, then I can save this as food. So I can say print string plus x, the variable x. And so what this does is that it's adding up two strings, which is called concatenation in Python. And so when you run the code, you see that the string variable will be printed together with x. And so let's run the code, and you can see this is examples of string food as it is shown here. And so next we are going to be looking at another example of data type in Python. And the next example we are going to be taking a look at is called the Boolean. And the Boolean represents either true or false. So let's create a variable and call it this is a bool, and then we'll assign true to it. And to create a boolean, the boolean is not stored in a single quotation mark or a double quotation mark. The boolean true or false is just typed with the first character in capital letters, and then we can print this out to check the data type. So type in print and type in type, and then you input the variable name. And so you can see that when we run this code, it will print the type of data that this belongs to, and you can see that it belongs to the class boolean. And so you can also print out the value of our variable here, which is this is a bool. And so when you run the code, you see that the value will be printed out, and you can see that the value of this is a bool is printed as true. So another boolean that we have in Python is called false, and so you can change this to be false. And so when you run this code, you will see that it will print out the value of the variable and the type which it belongs to. And so let's compare two numbers in Python. So for example, I'm going to say print and then I'm going to check if 10 is greater than 5, and this will return true because 10 is greater than 5. So when you run the code, you see that it will return true because 10 is greater than 5. So let's check if 10 is less than 5. And so we do that by using the less than sign, and when you run this code, you see that it returns false as the answer. And then let's see if 10 is equal to 5. And to check if 10 is equal to 5, use the equal to sign two times. So when you use it a double time, it signifies that you are telling the Python that 10 is equal to 5. And so depending on the statement you are using it for, in this case, you are determining whether 10 is equal to 5. So the equals to sign is used to compare if the first operand is equal to the second operand, or if the first string is equal to the second string. And so when you run this code, you see that it will return false because 10 is not equal to 5. So don't get yourself confused. Using the equal to sign double times is different from saying x should be equals to 5. So in this first case in line 1, what we are doing is that we are comparing if 10 is equal to 5. So don't get yourself confused. In the first line, 10 is not equals to 5, and in the second line we are adding a variable which is x, and it stores a content which is 5. And so that's how you can use the equal to sign. And so let's simplify it in a better way. So let's check if 5 is equal to 5 so that you can understand better. And so when you run the code, you see that it will return true as the answer because 5 is equal to 5. So guys, that's all for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to my channel, turn on the notifications, share the video, like. Please, if you can contribute to support my work, you can do so in the description below. You can also contact me, and I'll greatly much appreciate. If you have any questions to ask, drop your question in the comment section. And in the next tutorial, we are going to be seeing how we're talking about Python numbers. Please stay tuned and we'll be seeing in the next tutorial. Goodbye and have a wonderful day.